Hey everybody, welcome to the Good Buddies Anime Review. I am your good buddy Brandon.
And I am your good buddy Roger.
And we are here, our second in the review format, is that right?
Yeah, it's our second one.
We're going to break it down. What are we talking about?
Skullface, Bookseller, Honda-san.
Oh yeah,
Didn't mess that one up.
Like you didn't know from the title of the freaking thing you are listening to / watching.
Well, you know, a lot of people haven't seen this one or haven't been talking about it that I've seen. So.
I've seen like when I go looking, the thing that's interesting to me, and I don't see a lot of people talking about Skullface, Bookseller, Honda-san. I do when I go looking for people talking about it. The ones I find, they all say pretty much the same stuff, that it's pretty freaking great.
Yeah, if you haven't watched it, it's definitely something that you should watch, and hopefully this review will help you in that process.
And each episode's only like 15 minutes, so it's not hard to jump into.
Absolutely.
But so we're gonna be grading this on the scale of if it was terrible, Roger, what would you call it?
And maybe not.
If it was not awful, but like not great.
Anime.
What if it was like perfectly average, Roger?
Maybe.
What if it was actually pretty decent?
Hey, that's an Animals, definitely.
And if it was like damn near perfect? What would you call that one?
I would probably call it Animazing.
All right, and that is our ridiculous scale that we've come up with. Roger came up with to grade these animes, but moreover, we're gonna be giving it a
pass that
possible
torch to me.
Yeah,
you don't want any of that stink on you.
Hey man, you did come up with it.
I did.
But in order to get those ratings and whatnot, these titles for this, we are gonna be talking about certain different aspects of it: the characters and development, the story and setting, the soundtrack, the
art and animation.
The art and animation, of course, and our fifth little thing, kind of our good buddies wiggle room. We call it that je ne sais quoi. Roger, what does that mean?
I don't know what.
But anyway, let's get into it. Let's give a brief like overview of this and what it's about.
Let's hit the story and setting. So essentially, we have a really weird start to this thing. It's going to be kind of hard to. The guy is a skeleton.
He's a straight up skeleton,
and he works in a bookstore.
Yeah, he's a Skullface bookseller, and his name is
Honda.
Yeah, Skullface Bookseller Honda-san. It's like, damn, it does what it says on the tin. They kind of nailed it. So the whole deal with this one though is that it is. So I did a little research on this because I didn't know that much about it.
I read into it a little bit too.
Yeah. So it is based on a webcomic. The real life experiences of the author, whose name is Honda, during his time working at a bookstore. The titular Honda is a living skeleton who works in the foreign comics and art book section of the bookstore, and the crux of the show is all about his hilarious experiences working, dealing with not only customers, but also the publishers of said books and their representatives and his fellow employees, and that's the basic breakdown.
Yeah.
And it's pretty damn funny.
There's a colorful cast of characters in there.
Holy moly, is there ever.
So you get a lot of funny episodes, but then you also get a lot of informative episodes.
Yeah, you get a lot of information. It's just like, here's what it's like working in a bookstore or something.
And I actually have worked in a similar bookstore. So a lot of this clicked to me right away. Yeah, it's actually not too different from Japan than it is here. Like
the comic shop and stuff? Yeah. And having worked in retail damn near my whole life, I can tell you,
that's the great thing about this too, is you don't have to be in that specific profession for this to really mean something to you. If you've been in retail at all, if you're an anime fan and you've been in retail at all, you need to check this out. Yeah,
you're gonna definitely know some of these people that you run across. Yeah. And I do think it's interesting that all of that makes this skeleton, this zombie, this undead lich so fucking relatable. I've never seen an animated skeleton and thought, yeah, that me.
That's what's kind of great about this. I love it. Incredibly relatable.
Very much so.
It's so easy, and it's not like oh, I could put myself in their shoes and relate. Nah, you are in their shoes.
No, I've been there, bro. Yeah, baby, I seen that one. Not unlike Agretzko when we talked about that one. You look at these characters.
Man. They did these workplace animes really well. Yeah,
they really nailed the workplace environment in this one. So one thing I do want to. So let's start at the top. Let's talk about the story and setting.
Okay.
So that's the story. It's about Honda and all this stuff. Every now and then particularly I believe it's in episode 2, you get a little like fourth Wall-E thing where you actually see Honda, who's talking about, like, he has a bit where he's talking about his editor, who's like talking to him about like the show or the manga or whatever he's working on, and she's like personified as what appears to be a cute little seal, but like wearing a pantsuit, which I loved. And like, so you get these little moments where it is about that, but mostly you're gonna get Honda, who goes on these little soliloquies about like the way that a customer does this or does that, or like there's bits where in the first episode where this guy walks up, he's like, oh, I know exactly what's happening here. The look in this guy's eye. He's been at this all day trying to find something, and now he wants me to help him.
It's
like,
so relatable.
It's
dude.
so good, yeah. But like that's the thing I think is interesting about, because as far as like story goes, there is a story there, but so much of it, because the animation style, which we'll get to, is so simplified and stuff, and because it's such a short runtime, they don't give you a lot of time to. They don't really like just show you what's happening. They just let Honda tell you what's happening, which works in a goofy way, because it is so simple and so short. The whole thing of it. I mean, each of these episodes, watching them on Verve, is like 11 minutes. It would be a 15-minute show with commercials, obviously, but yeah, it's pretty great. So, anything else to say about the store and setting, bud?
No, I think that's about it, dude. We
like,
hit
you like that
there.
bookstore?
Yeah, I like the bookstore, man.
The bookstore is pretty great. We'll get into the characters and whatnot, but each of them like is over a certain section.
Yeah,
one of them like is the store manager and stuff.
Just the customers that come in and stuff
Holy
too.
crap.
Like you can really like you've definitely there's moments where there's questionable customers. There's
no kidding.
Moments where there are customers that are definitely way out of their league and don't know what they're doing. And it's just. If you've been in retail, you've seen these customers before, and it's pretty great.
Oh, I do want to point out, like, because they're working in a modern day, like, bookstore, with mangas and whatnot that they're selling, they do name drop several real things.
It is very thinly veiled.
Yes, but they do like give you, like, whenever they say one, like you'll see it in the subtitles and it'll be like asterisk, like it'll say one P and then like star. Yeah. And when they say it, they'll say the title, but you'll get a little over the top, like whenever it says it. So like they'll start talking, you'll hear like the first bit and then just because like they don't want to say it. It's pretty great. It's very thinly veiled censorship in there, and it's pretty funny.
Yeah, you can tell almost everything. If you're familiar with the show, then you're going to know what it is.
They mention Berserk, One Piece, for sure. There's like several others. But yeah, it's pretty great. But what's the next bit we got to talk about?
We're going to talk about some characters and then the development of the characters.
Holy mo! So, again, fairly short runtime. You don't get like... Despite that, you do get a decent look, and it's... The characters, and I think this maybe you'll appreciate this pun. They're very two-dimensional, but in such a way that they do have, like, you definitely know this person's deal. Like once you see them, they have like two lines to establish this character, and you do know who that character is upon it. Like they kind of nail it.
Yeah, all of his coworkers and everything, they all have something over their head or something like that,
which is really goofy.
Yeah, and that's how he identifies everybody.
So like for example, there's one lady who walks around who's just wrapped up in bandages, and her name is Bandages.
Yep.
There's a person who walks around with a big jack-o'-lantern on their head. That's Lantern. One of them,
the space helmet or whatever.
Yeah,
that's full face.
Yeah, it's like a bike helmet or something.
You have like
it's pretty great.
What are those things called? The plague mask or whatever.
Oh yeah, plague doctor.
Pest mask, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I like. There's one that just has like a knight's helmet on, and she's
Section
great.
Chief armor.
Yeah, she is actually like one of the managers of the store, and she also particularly runs the boys love section, which is a pretty big point.
Yeah, you get lots of customers coming in for boys love stuff.
So let's talk. Yeah,
okay, go ahead.
It's pretty great. Let's talk about that, though. The customers that come in, and I thought this was interesting that, like, everyone who works here has something over their face and whatnot, but the customers come in and they're just relatively normal-looking people. And I was like, why are they doing that? And then I realized, it's because we see the employees so much more and they're keeping the animation cost down. You don't have to animate them talking or anything.
Right.
It's
did you look into that, or is that just a guess?
What else could it be?
My other guess is that if anybody knows where he was or his previous work history, they might be able to figure out who those employees are if they're still there.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, didn't want to like design them particularly.
Yeah, a little bit of that
anonymity. What?
Anonymity.
Anonymity?
Yeah.
Gotta have some
anonymity.
All right, being weird. Anyway, but yeah, these characters, they have these goofy masks on. The people that come into the store, God Almighty, like. Particularly, like, we made a lot of jokes about that first episode. That
with
dude
the
who comes
American,
in.
yeah.
There's a bunch of these foreigners who come in. Of course, Honda works in the foreign books and art, foreign comics and art book section, so he's expected to know some English. He knows like maybe a couple phrases.
Yeah, he says that he can understand it, but he's not very good at speaking.
Very much so. Yeah.
And it's pretty great in that scene in particular. I'll let you experience it if you haven't heard us talk about it on the podcast already.
Yeah.
But the guy, they have somebody voice act him to speak the English language.
Yes.
And it is freaking ridiculous. And I hope that's how the Japanese people really think that we sound.
Yeah, there's some real fun stuff in that first one.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. But and just the situation, like it was a foreign person that doesn't understand very well, and he was trying to
find a specific comic that is not...
And Honda was trying to...
Explain
kindly and efficiently
without embarrassing him too.
This is a fan-made hentai.
Yeah, it's not an official publication. It's a
fanfic.
Ain't nobody picked this one up yet, bud. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
It's pretty good. I like it a lot. The characters are pretty great.
Yeah, they're really fun. What's our next little?
Our next is art and animation.
It's very, very simple.
Yep.
It would be, I would call it stop motion if it wasn't, drawn.
It's I kind of related it to Archer. No, you said that there's more animation in Archer than
Archer, the characters actually like move more and stuff. This one, it's more so like frame. This
feels more like a manga.
Yeah, very much so. And that's what it's based off. That's what they're going for.
And they're in a bookstore.
Yeah.
So it all just kind of fits really well into this nice package.
Yes.
But some of the frames and stuff, like different things that'll happen, like Honda's jaw, or him being surprised, or him getting caught off guard, they do it really well.
Yes. Again,
they make it very fun.
It's really funny to me how they managed to make just a skull so expressive, but they really do. And granted, some of that is from like, sweat drops on him when he's nervous or something, or the way he jitters when he's like nervous about something. But the little things like you said, like the jaw drop, or like the way his jaw will flap when he's talking really fast. He's very expressive, despite again being a weird demi-lich of a undead skeleton.
Yeah.
It's pretty great.
Yeah, I mean there's not a whole lot to talk about there. It has its style.
It's charming for sure.
Yeah, it is charming.
I wouldn't say it's like, you're not going to look at this and saying, "Man, that's amazing." You're going to look at it and say, "Oh, that's got a lot of character."
Yeah.
And that's exactly what they went for, and they nailed it.
They nailed it, and it fits right in with the story and exactly what they do. The next thing that we have is the soundtrack. Let's talk about that intro song real quick.
Love it.
ISBN.
I love it. It's so good.
And if you're not familiar with what ISBN is, that's the International Standard Book Number.
Yeah.
So when they say ISBN, they're referring to that little number on your barcode on your books.
So you know exactly what one it is. If you know the ISBN, you can find that book.
Mm-hmm.
That fucking song rips. It's so good.
Dude, it's so good.
It just starts out, yes.
It's heavy,
it's so
and then
good.
it's melodic. And it's like a whirlwind of a great damn song.
It's very
I look forward
so.
to that opener every time. I never skip it.
Yeah, it's really good. I love it. And the visuals of it are also very goofy. Like you'll see each of the characters like jump out and like pose so that they're making the letter, like this is the I, this one's doing like a curly thing, so the S. It's real goofy and it's real fun and it's really fucking great.
And the outro song is just like a cute little song of Hana while he's like walking in the background with a stack of books and stuff like that. It's a good song. There's not much to talk about it, but it is a good song. I do like it. Nothing lives up to that intro song though. That intro song freaking rips. But all the music in the show is pretty fitting.
Yeah.
It feels right at place. There's nothing that is terribly distracting from what you're watching.
Absolutely.
And it fits right in with that bookstore theme.
Yeah, they really know how to like use the music to just as it should be in a show like this, as simply background to the scene. Like they don't. It's never abrasive. It's never something weird. It just like fits in. You don't even notice it most of the time.
But you got any thoughts on the soundtrack?
Not really. I just love that opener.
That opening song freaking rules, dude. And then we'll talk about that je ne sais quoi.
That's je ne sais quoi. This one, I mean, the je ne sais quoi. I mean, the thing is, like we said, it is so short. I will preface everything that happens in my review of this by saying I've only seen up to episode 4, but like
I'm totally current on it.
Yeah. I would say that like it is a very simple art style. There's not a lot of time for them to do a lot of stuff because it's only 11 minutes long. Right. It's mostly just these goofy little sketch, and that's it. Like these very, very brief scenes. Some of them go the whole episode, but they're still usually quick.
The episode, it's not only is it very short, but there are sometimes 3 segments in that.
Yeah, 2 or 3 in there.
Yeah.
I think there's like one I remember that went like pretty much the whole episode, but even then it had a little like tail on the end of it that was like another thing. But that said, like I said, like everything about it, the way that it's drawn, the way that the characters move and talk, the everything about it just has such a charm to it that it's getting the good buddy bump on the je ne sais quoi.
Yeah, it's very charming, and I mean, like I said, we talked a lot right at the beginning about you ever worked in a retail environment or something like that, and I know a lot of us have, both me and Brandon have.
For sure.
Your good buddies have been there. We've been there for so many years.
Get me out.
And it just, they pull on those strings so well. Mm-hmm. That's what I really liked about this. Now, something that I could say negative about it is that there are sketches in there that really, I think they kind of fall flat or they fall informative. Whereas it starts you off with something extremely humorous. Mm-hmm. The next little sketch might not be that. It might just be about organizing the books.
Yeah.
And why you want to keep them organized. Mm-hmm. It's just informative, and I can see that being off-putting to some people just waiting for the boy love stuff to pop up.
Sure. But I mean, from what I've seen, again, only 4 episodes in, but those tend to be few and far between. It's mostly just like, here's a funny thing happening, and then like during
some
that,
of it's just
Honda
a funny
just
scenario.
Tell you some funny stuff.
There's a man that is very obviously into some sort of probably organized crime in one of the episodes, and that segment is awesome because it's something that I definitely could feel myself in a situation like that, where you see somebody missing something or not quite right about them, that it's ingrained into your brain forever. And this is a story that if I were in his shoes that I would want to pin out.
Yeah. There's a guy that shows, so not, I don't remember if it's episode 2 or 3, but it's one of those where, like we said, here's this guy who knows nothing about this foreigner who's trying to find something for his daughter, right? Mm-hmm. Conversely, there's a dude who shows up and is just a straight up hardcore weeb and is going like,
he knows too damn
way
much.
Too excited to be there and talk about stuff.
Yeah, and in the later episodes, there's a moment too where they're talking about working in a certain section that they don't know everything about.
Yeah.
Because they're worried that the people will chew them alive.
Yeah.
That know tons
and like
about it.
Every one of these.
God, I know that. I worked with Marvel and DC Comics.
Oh my Lord. Yeah. And like every one of those, it's like, having worked in retail, that's a dude you absolutely know that old man who came in there to find something for his grandson, and he doesn't know anything about video games. Like, so can I play the Xbox on my PlayStation? No, sir, you can't. But then you also know that dude who ran in there and got the brand new game and stood there for 20 minutes after buying it and wouldn't shut up about how great it's going to be. It's like, dude, go play it. You just bought it.
Yeah.
Like,
so it gives you a very relatable experience.
It's a very, I think that's if we were still doing like the 3 words thing, I would say charming and relatable for 2 of them.
Yeah.
Because those are the big points of this show. It's very, very, very fun.
Yeah, not enough people are really talking about it, and I think that you guys should see it. And that brings us to our next point. Let's give out them scores, dude.
All right, so we're going to start with story and setting. Just each of us give our numbers and then go on to the next thing.
And then we'll tell you what it made.
All right.
Story and setting, for me, I gave it a 1.5.
I gave it a 1.
You gave it a 1? Characters and development.
I gave it a 1.5.
I gave it a 1.
Okay.
Art and animation. Mm-hmm. I gave it a 1.5.
I gave it a 1 on that one.
Soundtrack. I gave it the full 2. ISBN totally rips, dude. And it fits so well. Everything fit really well for me that I thought the soundtrack was.
I really love that one. Still gave it a 1.
You still gave it a 1? All right. And then that Je ne sais quoi, I gave it a 1.
I gave it the full 2, man. I found it very charming. I had to give it the bump.
I gave it 1 because I could see... I definitely saw a lot of myself in there, and I think I made it pretty clear in this review that it really clicked with me, but I could see certain segments not clicking with other people, so I thought that I would pull a little bit from that, and that gives me a score of 7, which is an Animos definitely. It's a low Animos definitely, but it's an Animos definitely for sure, and it's a high Animos definitely if you have worked in retail.
For sure, man. I believe that... I'm going to feel embarrassed now because I'm not actually writing these down, but I think my total comes out to 6.5.
6.5?
Shit. So man, someone's checking my math right now and just laughing at me. Roger, I know you're putting these up on the screen, so excuse me if I'm wrong. It's either 6.5 or 7. But point is, it's fine.
Yeah, so that's a high and maybe, or
it's a high and maybe,
or a low and most definitely.
I gave it a high and maybe.
You give it that bump, dude. If you're working in retail,
I had to give it the 2-point bump for the.
That's fair, dude.
Yeah. So let's see. That was a 1, 1.5, 1, 2. I think that's 6.5. Shit, I might have just said 1 wrong. Whatever, man. Don't judge me. I'm not writing these down.
Yeah, it's only the second time. I wrote mine down.
Don't hate me because you hate me.
I added mine together.
I didn't.
I did everything properly. I'm proud of myself.
Being an asshole right now.
I did mess up the opening take a few times.
You did. We had to restart twice.
It cancels out.
2 times.
Thank you so much, good buddies, for this for hanging out with us for this review.
It's been real.
Yeah. If you could, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. We broke apart the podcast into these new segments.
So we got the review and the ramble.
Yeah, and the ramble comes, I said, a couple days after last week, and that's because I hadn't edited anything, but it comes out one day after this. So Sunday this releases, and Monday the ramble for this is out. You'll know because it has a very similar thumbnail. Be sure to check out the ramble. That's where we're going to talk a little more about this show. So we're going to give some news and not particularly about this show. Yeah. And we're going to answer some questions from the other good buddies. It's going to be a really good time.
We're going to hit all of our regular segments we've been doing for a while.
Be sure to check out that ramble coming up. But if you're in day one, and if you're listening after this, please subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out.
Yeah, man.
And you can also hear the full podcast if you go to iTunes or anywhere like that.
Yeah, you got them on Stitcher. I use Podcast Addict. You got a Podbean, Sweet Beans.
Yep.
But thanks for joining us. That's been the review. We'll be back with the ramble right after this.
Take it easy, guys.